And here it is, the Saturday morning live stream here at Garden Like a Viking headquarters in northern Indiana, Zone 5B, 6A. Although this year and the past couple years, it's just acting like a totally different zone. It's been crazy warm pretty much all season for a number of years now. Last year was blazing hot and bone dry drought. So let us hope that we don't have a repeat of that this year. I really don't feel like we're going to, but man, it totally changes the game. When you can't rely on the rainfall outside to do your watering for you for the most part, totally changes the game. Okay. Okay, let's see who is here. All right, already 17 thumbs up. Thank you very much, you guys. That's what we got to do to spread the word. So, Jeremy Ransom, good morning all from San Diego's East County, Zone 10A. Hope all is well wherever you might be's. Clever, yes. Okay, hello, Jeremy. Clem Fandango, what's up, my friend? Hello, all from Zone 7B, he says. Stone Creek, Nate late, LOL. I know, man, you are really on it because of 1 minute late. Yeah, I know. But because I had to run upstairs and grab for you guys, I want to discuss the lion's mane that I'm growing for you guys. But yeah, typically I'm sitting here and the moment the clock hits 11:59 to 12, bam, hit live. Because it's punctuality, you know? And when I was in school, guys, I went 11 and a half years without ever missing a day of school. Perfect attendance for 11 and a half years. It's pretty much mind-blowing. Yeah, that's how dedicated when I set something, I'm just all about it. So that's why we really never miss. Even when I was in the swamps in South Arkansas, I came to you guys live. I drove clear back out to get to the live just because I said that's what I'm going to do. So, Born by a Queen, that's a nice name. Your thoughts on anaerobic liquid fertilizer? Well, that is a hot topic, my friend. A very hot topic amongst growers. And let's see, what it boils down to really is that most of the microbes are facultative anaerobes or conditionally anaerobic. So they can actually survive with the presence of oxygen or without them. Now, a lot of people, though, when they've taken maybe an Elaine Ingham soil scientist course or they've read a book or something, and so they think straight away that that's the gospel and that that you can manipulate. They think that science or that people have such a thorough grasp on it that we can manipulate 100% to, okay, we're going to culture just the anaerobic microbes because those are the only ones that are good, as opposed to the anaerobics, which are bad. I mean, the aerobic's good, the anaerobic's bad. But that's a very human thing to do. The human mind wants to divide things into either or and put them in these categories, when the truth is way more in between. And so it actually doesn't matter all that much. There's various techniques you can use. Aerated compost teas, which that's what I began using way back in the day, 2011, 12, 13. In Northern California, it was exploding with aerated compost teas. We were using it for everything, spraying the plants down every day with these aerated compost teas. And everybody had the book, Teeming with Microbes and Teeming with Nutrients. And so, they work wonderful. But also, J-Dom has really simplified a lot of things, and it also works wonderful. And so it's based upon my observations over the years, it's not an either-or thing. So we'll be getting much more into that kind of stuff on the channel. This year with you guys, I'm going to go into a little bit of the aerated compost teas because I've been getting a lot of requests for that kind of stuff. And yeah, and that's possible too. It's always best to have the most things in your repertoire because just like the human body, the plants and the soil, they like a wide diversity of things. And so the more broad of a range of natural, real things that you can feed to the soil, the better. It's like the human body. We need as wide of range as nutrients as possible. Okay. Let's see here. Garth says, what's up, my friend? He says, I took an Elaine Ingham course, and as I watch progress there, I believe she is now starting to accept that some anaerobic life is valid. LOL. She even had KNF practitioners on this year on the summit. Wow. Okay. Yeah. Very good. Very good. It's just not an either or. It's not black or white, because nature is not like that. The human mind wants to make it like that though, and say that all anaerobic are bad, but the aerobics are good. And so as soon as a brew goes anaerobic, oh no, it's not like that, guys. I mean, years of experience has proven that for me. So let's see. Ghost Dog says, there are more bacteria that eat root eaters. It's 3-on-1. The 3 are also bigger, and their favorite food is the little weak anaerobes eating roots. Yes, my friend, it's a complex web, and every step along the way, nutrients are being unlocked. Everything is eating everything. So, yes. Got to take that lid off because I got one of them Yeti cups, and it will keep a liquid blazing hot for like 12 hours. I mean, too hot to drink for like 12 hours straight. So that's why I got to take the lid off. Pauline Morris, hi from the north of England. All right. Hello, my friend. Kim Williams, good afternoon. All from Tunisia. All right. Got people from all over. And so, Danger Pigeon, good afternoon, everyone. Tarot Like a Viking, that's a nice name. Good morning, Viking, she says. Yes, good morning, Shield Maiden. That's Jenny, by the way, everybody. So, Tushi G says, morning from Kentucky. Question, when I made calcium fertilizer, my vinegar didn't bubble. I toasted eggshells. Does vinegar go bad? What did I do wrong? Okay, so that can be a couple of things. One, did you pulverize them too much? Because that's one reason we don't want to powder it. Well, we definitely don't want to powder it because then it's really difficult to filter out those little tiny particulates, okay? And so then they will clog all the drip emitters. Yeah, ask me how I know that. Clogging all the drip emitters and everything. So we want to not pulverize the eggshells. We just will crush them a little bit and then pour them in. Now, if your vinegar sat out open, it's possible that it became more weak. But typically, excuse me, typically you will not have to worry about that. No, especially if you use like an apple cider vinegar with the mother in it that's alive, then no, it will not go bad. I mean, it will take years, many, many years. So without seeing your exact process, if I watched you do it, I could see. But also, sometimes, especially if the eggshells are real fine, it doesn't bubble all that much. It just immediately saturates. So I would have to see it to know for sure. But stir it up, give it a try. Again, is what I would do. Just go ahead, because eggshells and vinegar is cheap. Yeah. So, Nick the Gardener, hi from England, just back from the plot, starting King's Faria, wine cap, oh yeah, mushroom in the wood chips, yes, my friend, and that reminds me, we are going to do that on the channel this year, so we're going to go to North Spore again, because I emailed them, and so they'll probably get back to me, hopefully, and I said I want to do another project as far as on the channel, to do the wine caps. And so what do you think? And they said, yeah. So that'll be good. So we'll be getting some wine cap mushrooms. We'll inoculate them here. And then you guys can use the discount code and all of that to get the wine caps from the North Spore. That would be great. And it's going to be a lot easier. Okay. Now this I haven't done myself before. I've seen it done in Northern California, but I have a very good take on how it's done. So we're just going to learn together this year. We're going to take the bag of spawn and we're going to inoculate a number of different sites of wood chips. And that's all they did in Northern Cali. And there was wine caps all over the place for many years to come. So we'll see. I think it's going to work. Nick Jones says, doing lion's mane at the moment. Yes, my friend, the lion's mane. So it's actually, if you look online, you can hardly find a way to grow them in buckets, but I discovered a really good way to grow them in the buckets this year. This is one of the last fruits of this. This has been fruiting for some time. So you can see here how, yes. If I had it to do over, I would remove this label, of course. This is a food grade bucket, but still, I didn't really think about it. But look, man, these things are beautiful and they're real dense and delicious. Tastes like crab meat. And I did a short where I showed you guys how I like to prepare them. But see, I like to grow them. And this is like, if you just wanted to do a small batch, you could make a tub like this, you see, with the perlite in it, and that's enough. And it keeps them humid, and you can put the bucket inside or whatever container you're using. And this is a great way to grow them. If you just want to grow them on a smaller scale, I think it's called like a mono tub is the actual technique for that, but I've been doing them like that for years. So yeah, Nick, hope yours do turn out. I'm sure that they will. They're very, very hardy. These we grew on just the hardwood pellets. It wasn't pasteurized. Well, it was pasteurized, not sterilized, with no additional food source or anything like that. So, okay. Successful Garden Design says, beautiful. Hello, Rachel. Good to see you here, my friend. So, Group Bella. Hi, Nate from Quebec City, Canada. Hello from the Midwest. Don Wools, what do you think about using preen? I only use it on my onions. Personally, I think you know the answer to that. I would not recommend using preen. I mean, we used to use it. I worked landscaping for a couple of years when I was young and stuff, and so we used to use the heck out of that stuff. It's a pre-emergent, so it doesn't actually like kill anything. It just keeps, there's some kind of bizarre chemical in it that keeps, or an enzyme that keeps seeds from sprouting. So that's why they use it like in mulch beds and stuff, and it just keeps things that are in their seed stage from sprouting. But there's just no way that I would want that in my food growing plot. You know what I mean? Because for whatever reason, it's designed to make things not grow. And so I would not be using that. But if you do, I'm sure it's not the end of the world, you know? So let's see. I had a question up here from one of my local friends. Let's see here. Let's see. Got to go back up. Go back up. Ursula Winters. It's a great last name. Can you recommend how to construct a low-budget fence closing in a garden and still worth installing? Which parts would you focus on making sure is secure, and what could be salvaged DIY'd? Okay, a low-budget fence closing in a garden and still worth installing. Yes, I think, I don't know if I actually made a video about this. I should this year though, but at my mother's plot where I installed a garden for her, watch my video, it says grass to garden in one day. And I rolled out the landscaping fabric, put the 150-gallon grow pots, filled them with the soil and the leaf mold. But then for the fencing, because they have deer and squirrels and all of this stuff, for the fencing, I did the cheapest budget option possible while still being very effective. And that is you go to Menards and you get a roll of the deer fencing. And the deer fencing is real, it's just real thin. It's black mesh. And it's about 7 feet tall, I think, 7 or 8 feet tall. And then you go and get the T-posts. So the T-post, you know, they can be like $5 a piece, new ones. If you can find a source of used ones, go ahead and use those. Or you could also use sticks. You could use sticks, but you'd have to be a bit handy with that technique of doing things. But the T-posts, every 5 feet, give or take, we pound those in and then just zip tie the wire netting or the deer fencing, which is like a plastic some kind of composite netting. We zip tie that to the T-posts, and that is very effective. That's going to be the most effective and cheapest. You know, for under $100, you've got a fence all the way around your garden. And see, the deer fencing's like 8 feet tall, and so the T-posts, once they're pounded in, even 7-foot ones, it's only like 6 feet tall, give or take. And so the additional, you let it go out like this on the ground, and then you put the logs down so that I'll make a video about this so that nothing can burrow underneath the fence. I mean, they could, but like squirrels and rabbits can't just easily push underneath the fence. So that's going to be the best budget option, okay? Deer fencing with the T-post, okay? Which, of course, I can describe or show you more later if you would like. Emerald knots. I've noticed black mushrooms start growing whenever I apply the everything fertilizer. Is that normal? Yes, that would be normal because these can be very high in fungal spores. So yes, that will be perfectly normal. And generally, mushrooms are a sign of a very healthy soil food web and a thriving soil microbiome, all of that. Okay, so if you see in the mushrooms growing in your stuff, it's not a problem. Okay, unless they're like some kind of bizarre mushroom that's choking everything out. but I've yet to ever see that kind of mushroom, okay? So Ben T says T-post and plastic deer net. Yep, that's pretty much it. That's going to be the best bang for the buck, and you don't have to commit to it. I mean, if you that way you can move the garden plot, or if you're renting a house or something, you don't have to like sink, posts in concrete and then stretch out wire fencing that's going to last 50 years, or 20 years. So DA says, question, why do you use lab so quickly? Doesn't it last for roughly a year in the fridge? Absolutely not. It does not. I get that question a lot, and I'm going to be making a video here in the near future about how to store the labs long term if you have to, if you want to. It can also be shelf stable if done the way I'm going to show in the video. But here's the thing. So I've done it, and I've used it at so many different stages along the way. And I used it to inoculate things like food that I would eat. I've used it to start other batches of labs. I've used it to fertilize things. And I have noticed always that the longer it sits, after about a month, it degrades in its potency. Up until a couple of months in the fridge even, it can't even effectively start another batch of labs because there's nothing for it to eat, and it doesn't just stay there totally dormant. And so I always say it's best to make smaller batches, but fresh, more fresh. So it's so easy to make. That's another reason. And you want it to just be nice and thriving and alive. And so the longer it sits, the more it degrades. And so up to about a month it's going to remain in peak effectiveness. But beyond that is very questionable. Okay. So let's see here. And guys, don't forget, I'm doing a live Q&A on my other channel, Nate Murray, starting last week was the first one, starting last week, every Monday at 12 noon Eastern time. Okay, so 2 days from right now, 48 hours from right now. I do one on my other channel where we can talk about things like diet, nutrition, mindset, sort of, law of attraction kind of thing, many different things like that. Okay, so many things we can talk to on that channel. So you can check that out if you want. So Christopher Mennel says, hi Nate, I tried to grow sweet potato slips using the toothpick and water method. After 2 weeks, the water became creamy and the sweet potato burst open. Why is that? Yes, and I have that happen this year for the first time ever. I had that happen, and I just threw it out. And that's because it just rotted. Yeah, it just rotted. And so you're going to have to get another one and start again. But I am no longer recommending the water method for that reason, but also because it is so much slower than I was going to bring them up and show you guys, than the soil method. Man. So watch the short I think I made on it about starting them in the soil. And they sprout 5 times faster. I mean, I have ones, okay, so I started them in the soil. They're downstairs on the heat mat, and they're already like this tall, above 5 inches of soil. So they're already like a foot tall. Whereas the other ones I started in the jar, like I had been doing for previous years, because it was the only way I knew how at the time. The ones in that jar I started on the same day are only 1.5 inches long. They're just beginning to grow. And so these ones are a foot tall. These ones are 1.5 inches and barely growing by anything noticeable on a daily basis. Whereas the other ones, you can notice every day the growth. There's more luscious growth. So hands down, clear winner, the soil method for starting sweet potatoes. And so that's what I would do. That's what I would do if I were you. Start over. If you have a heat mat, preferably put them in the warmest possible area. And in 4 weeks, you will have them. That's the thing I'm dealing with now, is that I'm thinking, whoa, we're still like 1.5 months away from our technical last frost date. I don't think it's going to be that long this year. I think we'll be in the clear in about a month. But in 1.5 months, those things downstairs, them sweet potatoes are going to be like 5 feet long. I mean, at the rate that they're growing. So I'm going to have to keep them trimmed. So yeah, maybe next year I won't have to start them so early. Okay. Let's see. Clem Fandango says, for the soil method, I've seen people bury them halfway into the soil. What do you think the benefits of burying them completely are? Okay, so I did the experiment last year with this, and I noticed that the ones that were buried only halfway, they didn't produce as much roots on the sweet potato. That the ones that I buried completely, it made for a lot more vigorous of slips. And then when I pulled them out, they had roots all over them and stuff. They were already starting to root in the soil. So that is what I noticed. Let's see here. And I did that because I watch a channel, Deep South Homestead. I don't know if you guys have ever seen that, but Danny is the guy's name. I think that's his name. He is like the king of growing the sweet potatoes in the Deep South. And so I can tell by watching his videos over the years and stuff, I can tell he really knows what he's talking about. And he always advocates burying them deep like that. And he was the only person that I had seen doing it like that. Everybody else was burying them halfway. So I said, okay, Danny is, you can see the years of experience in his face. So I can just tell that that's the method that I wanted to do. So I gave it a direct experiment, and yes, lo and behold, that one is superior, of course. So Ms. T, hello, my friend. She says, just planted my sweet potatoes with the soil method 3 days ago. Can't wait to see them grow. Okay, so expect about 3 weeks. If they're on a heat mat, about 3 weeks. If not, maybe, well, I don't know. If not, but they'll come. No worries. Let's see. RIP BBL says, can they go into an unheated greenhouse before last frost date? So not really. Sweet potatoes are a heat-loving crop. If they experience even the slightest frost, they are done. So so if it ever even drops into like the low 30s, they're gonna have problems. Okay. Ghost Dog, open your mind. You never know what'll fall in. That's right. That's right, my friend. Let's see here. Frank, I've been feeding and churning a big bucket of mud with vegetable food scrap, coffee ground, crushed egg shells, leaves, etc. for months. Can I apply the mud directly under the transplants? Directly under the transplants. So you mean it's like some kind of a soupy, it's like a mud texture at this point? And you're talking about putting it into the holes of the things that you're about to plant? You could do that if you wanted to. I personally would water it down way more. I would do at least 20-1, give or take. Okay, Ms. T, on a heat mat, good. Okay, about 3-4 weeks, expect that. Taida, hello, my friend. So yeah, that's, I would water it down about 20 times with water and then water them in that way. You could put some in each hole if you wanted to. If you didn't have the faculties or capabilities to water the stuff in, then yes, you could do that. But it's so strong right now, there's no need to like waste it. If it's that thick and stuff, you really want to dilute that. You could dilute that even 50-1 or 100-1 with water, okay? Let's see here. Alexander says, Nate, have you seen the video on the link between glucose and cancer cells? There's a lot of videos on that, my friend, and I've seen that and read about that and experienced that over the years. Well, I haven't experienced it, but my life experience tells me that that is true. It confirms that. So yeah, absolutely. Let's see. Born by a Queen says, does aerobic fertilizer have any expiration dates? Or the longer it stays, it gets better? Let's see. Okay, aerobic fertilizer, are you talking about, the only kind of aerobic fertilizers would be ones that are actively being aerated. So, and no, it definitely has a expiration date. But the anaerobic fertilizers, if that's what you meant to say, the ones like in the JDOM buckets and stuff, the JLFs, no, they have no expiration date because it's not so much about the it's not like a microbial brew in the sense of that's not the point of it. There's lots of microbes, but the point of it is that the microbes break down the plant material and keep it. And so as far as nutrition of decomposition, the anaerobic method, in my opinion and knowledge and experience, retains better plant nutrition than aerobic ones. Because think about like in the refrigerator, or think about food in general. If you want to, for us, if you want to get the most vitamins and minerals in your food, what do? You keep out oxygen and you keep out light, right? So those are the things that degrade the nutrition. We know this, like in juices and stuff. From the moment that you squeeze a juice, it is degrading from that point out because of the oxidation. The enzymes are dying and things like that. So we try to keep the air out to preserve the highest amount of nutrition. Matthew Coutillo, hello my friend, says smash the like button. Greeting. Yes, been a long time, my friend. Hope you're doing well. Val says, Nate, my microbial solution failed twice. I used non-organic sweet potato the first time, then went with organic sweet potato and gathered new leaf mold. Aquarium heater at 80 degrees. Choice of potatoes? I would say that it would be the leaf mold because the potatoes is just a starch. Okay, that's pretty much it. And so you could, if what you have available is bananas, you could also use the banana, or the Irish potato works for sure the best. Just in my experience, but you can also use whatever's available. So sweet potatoes, yeah, they'll be fine, but that's not going to be your problem. Your problem is going to be chlorine in the water, or it's really about the leaf mold. So put in some more leaf mold, or make sure that you're getting stuff that's not been dried out too much, or make sure it's microbially active, okay? That's what we need. Jeremy Ranson says, question, will a mold layer on the top of my bucket of JLF create any problems, or can it just be mixed in? Absolutely zero issues whatsoever, guys. Mold on top of the JLFs is totally normal, all right? So you can expect to see all kinds of bizarre stuff. The different colors, different, even soldier fly larvae, all kinds of crazy looking stuff. It's all good. So long as you made it right, based upon the videos, then you have nothing to worry about. And Diogo Silva, €5. Thank you very much, my friend. First tip of the day. He says, I have produced the FAA, molasses and labs. Okay, just real clear. Well, let me finish the question. After 30 days, there are still bubbles on the liquid. The smell is sweet. Is fermentation over? What should I do? Okay, so that is not FAA. Fish amino acids, which I will make a video soon on this channel because it's a wonderful fertilizer. Fish amino acids is a K&F technique, and that is only utilizing fish and brown sugar. We don't use molasses. Okay, you really need to use the brown sugar. And we're not using labs, we're using IMO. Okay, if you don't have IMO, some leaf mold soil will, if you know it's a good quality leaf mold soil, that will help. But there's a technique to it, so I will show you guys in the video. But what you're describing with molasses and labs, that is the fish hydrolysate. Okay, different things. And after 30 days, if you made it right, if you made it based upon the video that I made, the fast fish fertilizer, the fish hydrolysate, then you have nothing to worry about. After 10 days to 2 weeks, it's ready to start using. 30 days, yeah, no problem, because it's going to continue to like ferment and stuff. So no, the fermentation is not over, really. I mean, did you liquefy it? Or let's see, did you liquefy it? Or what? Let's see here. So, and thanks for all your superb content. You're very welcome, my friend. But yeah, so okay, fish hydrolysate, correct. Even with the bubbles. Yes. Let's see here. He says, I did liquefy it. Okay. Yeah, it's not a problem. 30 days is going to be plenty of time. But if there's still pressure, then you might want to leave it in an area where the pressure can still escape. But you can put it into the mason jars, the half-gallon mason jars, or wherever it is for the longer-term storage, and totally fine. So yeah, absolutely. If you made the hydrolysate and you liquefied it, and it's been 30 days, totally ready to use. Yeah. Okay, and let's see. Would it, Danger Pigeon says, would it benefit to heat mat indoor ferment buckets? Yeah, you can do the heat mat if you need to get it warmer. Yep. Or the aquarium heater. Those are really good. Okay. EMS says, question, is it okay for microbe solutions, JDOM, fish fertilizer, etc. to freeze? I live in northern Finland. It's cold here. Okay, Finland, huh? The land of the sauna. I'm doing the sauna all the time out here now. So yes, let's see, the fish fertilizer and the microbial solutions, it's not a problem. So unless you're making the JDOM microbial solution, or you're brewing like a compost tea or something like that, then no, that's not going to be a problem because the microbes are going to be already adapted to your locality. That's why you're using locally sourced ingredients like the leaf mold. That's local biology called indigenous microorganisms. Okay. So yes, that's not going to be a problem. But you will want the, watch the video I made. It's called Winter is Coming, and it's how to winterize your liquid ferments. That's important, okay? Let's see. Garth says, real brown sugar is made with molasses. It's the only kind I eat, and I make it myself. What kind of brown sugar are you referring to? I am just referring to the sense that it is the actual, yes, I know, brown sugar is sugar with molasses. And molasses is not a problem, but it is the osmotic pressure created by the sugar that is going to draw out the nutrients and is going to do what we want. So like you'll see, when we start to make FPJ, fermented plant juice, you will see here in the spring, as soon as some stuff starts coming up, we are going to use the brown sugar, and the osmotic pressure of that pulls out the auxin and the growth hormones and the plant regulators and all that kind of stuff. You'll see it visually. But if we use straight molasses in its liquid form, it doesn't create the osmotic pressure. And so that is not going to do what we want it to do. That's why. DA, have you ever tried using tallow for the wetting agent? No, I have not. I have not tried. You mean, because you would have to saponify the oil first, of course. So no, I would not do that. That would be very, very expensive. I mean, if you have that much tallow, then it would work, probably. I'm not sure. Yeah, it would work, but I've not done it, no. Because I've never had that surplus of tallow where I can just do that to it, and because I eat it constantly. So Rhonda H. says, hi, question, what is your take on the chemical that plastic is made from? Sipping into the plants and such. Yes, that is a real hot topic of debate. And the thing is that, well, there's a couple of things. One, plants tend to only absorb what they need for the most part, unless it's something that is created specifically to be absorbed by them. They don't have the ability to absorb just all kinds of random things. Certain plants do, such as the sunflower, like we examined last week. They have the ability to just absorb everything from the soil, toxins, radiation, all of that kind of stuff, put it into the plant material. But not all plants are like that. That's why we use the sunflowers for soil remediation. So there is that to a degree. And then also the certified organic farming. If you've ever been to real, like, industrial size certified organic farms, like I have in the Central Valley, they are using thousands of miles of plastic. I mean, miles and miles. All those organic strawberries that you get from the store have been grown in direct contact with the same type of plastic that trash bags are made out of. That same exact stuff, a combination of low density and high density polyethylene. And so the certified organic certifiers say that it's okay. And so even though that doesn't mean a whole lot in my book and many of our books, at least that's another thing. So it's a multifaceted, there's not a clear answer to that. And then we are already immersed in an ocean of man-made stuff. It defies comprehension when you really get to thinking of it. I mean, you take your phone and boom, there's plastic all over this, all kinds of chemicals, plastic. I'm talking into this, plastic, chemicals all over all this stuff. I just showed you guys this. Mushrooms are growing out of plastic. It's food safe, but it's all plastic. I mean, this tea bag, it's everywhere. Everything. So we kind of have to, that's another element. So it's a complicated topic, my friends. So we don't just have to jump to a conclusion. Preppers Paradise Canada says, question, had a lot of fruit flies and gnats in my compost tea barrel last year. Are mosquito pucks okay to use in compost tea barrel? I don't have a lot of experience with those because I know theoretically that yes, those pucks, all they target is the larva of the mosquito. And so technically, will be totally fine. Yeah. And if you did research on that, I'm sure it would say that. But personally, I wouldn't put anything in there designed to kill anything because it's all part of it. So what I would do instead is to put a totally tight-fitting lid on that, okay? Put a lid on that so that mosquitoes can't get in or out. Like my barrels, the big black, they're old olive barrels. And they came from a guy that works at like the olive factory. And so those are what am I trying to say? Those are airtight so that nothing is getting in or out. Okay, Jimmy Crackcorn, $5, second tip of the day. Thank you very much, my friend. He says, Nate, where do you buy your large fertilizer barrels? That's funny that we were just talking about that. I get them from a guy on Facebook, or I found him through Facebook, and now he's just my connect for that kind of stuff. So I hit him up whenever I need those barrels. $20. $20. But yeah, if you try and buy them from Amazon, they're going to be like $170 because most of that's shipping because they're very, very awkward to ship. But try to find somebody that works at an olive factory or an onion factory or something, gets these, because they come from Greece. The olives come from Greece in these barrels, okay? And Lynn Day says, recently gathered 3 5-gallon buckets of dead fish along the shore of Lake Erie. Thanks for the fish fertilizer recipe. All right, yeah, that's the way to go. You can even use some of that seaweed stuff that or lake weed that washed up on the shore. Not a problem. Maggie Smith says, question, I was gone for 3 months and my compost is full of water after the lid came off. I saw it bubble. What should I do? What do you mean, the compost? Do you have it in a container that doesn't drain? Or what's the problem? How's there that much water in it, your compost? Because really you should just spread it around the garden is what I would do. Yeah. Okay, Prepper's Paradise says, thanks. We are using well-cut 55-gallon plastic barrels. Okay, so you mean the 55-gallon drums with the top cut off. Okay, so yeah, I know what you're saying. And we have that in a couple of the garden plots that I'm involved with. But if you want those mosquitoes away from there, you're going to have to come up with some kind of a lid. Really, it should have a lid anyways because you don't want all the stuff evaporating, okay? So, Pam, yes, she says, it's great you have got over the cold you had last week. Yes, thank you, my friend. It is great. And it was like a cold. It wasn't even a cold. I don't even know what it was. It was like I worked in this house for a little while in this kind of musty, moldy environment. And then from that day, for about 5 days, my sinuses were just like totally blocked up. No, nothing else though. No other, I didn't feel anything. I felt great. And every time I went into the sauna, it all opened up real good because I put eucalyptus in there. I put sage, grown sage I grow around here. I put that into the water that's boiling over the fire. It's just wonderful. Okay. So let us see here. PA says, someone told me that microplastics are everywhere. It doesn't matter where you live on this planet. Everyone excretes the equivalent of a bank card every week. Whoa. I don't know about that. A bank card every week? That seems excessive, but I don't know for sure. I don't know for sure. Guys, I found it again, okay? Look, this is the Mountain Tea, organic, product of organic farming, straight from Greece. And we used to, when I stayed with Yorgo Meli in Greece, the honeybee farmer, and stuff, and the like real man of the land, we used to pick this stuff on the countryside. And so I really got to loving it. And now I found it, you can just buy it. It's insanely cheap though. It's like, this was less than $3 for this entire thing, which is kind of mind-blowing that it can come all the way from Greece and be for sale for $3. But yeah, it's a wonderful tea. I think the English name for this is also ironwort. Didn't someone say that? I think that's what it is. Cysteritis raceri. Yes. So that's what it is. Wonderful tea. Very energizing, although no caffeine or stimulation of any kind. Okay. Prepper Paradise says, yes, I turned the lid upside down and put weight on top, and it closes off really well. Should have said that. I just posted a video yesterday about it. Okay, cool. Maybe I'll be able to check that out. Grizzly Adams says, I heard vegetables will take up mercury from fish when you when and will show up in the fruit. Have you heard this? You know, there's all kinds of different things, all kinds of stuff happening, guys. So it's like, yeah, that may be true. I don't know. And the thing is that the point that we're at in civilization with the exchange of knowledge and information really, okay? Because remember, information only becomes knowledge once it has been put through the catalyst of experience. But so with the exchange of information, guys, here's the thing. Whatever you do, oh, what's up, Pinball? Good to see you, my friend. Yeah, I think we're going to be doing a collaboration pretty soon, guys, here in a few weeks. So you can check that out with Pinball. I'm going to do it when we're coming back from the Chattanooga, the garden installation. Same people I did it for last year. So anyways, the thing about information right now is that with the internet, whatever your opinion is, listen, guys, whatever your opinion is, you can confirm it. That's basically what it is. Whatever your opinion is now, you can find numerous scientific studies that confirm it to be true. But likewise, if you held the opposite opinion or belief, you could find numerous scientific studies that confirm it's true. So we're living in a time when it's like, okay, well, there's just so much conflicting information and all kinds of different stuff. So the best source of knowledge is your personal experience. Yes. And others' personal experience. So I just felt like I had to say that. Let's see. Val says, Pinball Preparedness, OMG, my hubby listens to you every day. Thanks for your info. Yeah, Pinball's got all kinds of great info. Man, he's got like a link to information that I hear it from him sometimes before anywhere else, which is pretty cool. So, Ms. P, $4.99, potatoes I planted last fall in a nest of leaves and hay topped with dirt are sending up leaves. Zone 7A will report later on yield. $5. Thank you very much, my friend, for the tip. Okay, so you planted potatoes last fall in a nest of leaves and hay on top with dirt. And now they're sending up leaves. Zone 7A. All right. Well, that is cool. I know you can do that in those kind of environments. Here, historically at least, this year it would have as well, those would freeze solid. So people ask me about that here. And in Zone 5, northern Indiana and above, we can't be doing that unless we bury the potatoes several feet underground, which would be below the frost line. Then that is the only way that they could survive. Because guys, if a potato freezes one time, it becomes mush. All right. So, Ms. P, I think the decaying leaves created heat. Oh, that would be cool. So, I mean, yeah, that could happen. But there'd be a fine balance because you wouldn't want to cook them. Just last year, I wanted to see an experiment for you guys. So in one of the garden plots, me and my uncle, we planted potatoes in pure, fresh horse manure. And I'm talking, it was so fresh that when I went to my friend's ranch, he boards horses. It was so fresh that it was just steaming. I mean, it was like fresh that morning or something. And so he was putting it into the back of the truck, and the whole drive back to the ranch was just steaming, coming off of the horse manure. And so we just put the potatoes down and then put the horse manure right on top. Now, I've done this plenty of times before with composted horse manure, and it works great. But this was too fresh. And so it literally just cooked the potatoes. And so it was several weeks later, and I was like, what is going on? He was like, yeah, there's nothing sprouting. And I said, what do you mean? There's no way. I've done this so many times. But then so I went back and dug into into what was now looked like composted horse manure several weeks later. And I couldn't find a single potato. I couldn't even find one. I was searching around. Whoa, they just totally composted into oblivion. So that's what that is. You can't use totally fresh horse manure. Otherwise, it just composts everything down. So I don't know what got me off on that, but I want you guys to know that from my experience. Let's see. PA says, Nate, how often can we draw from a liquid fertilizer and refill before making a new batch? So you don't really have, okay, so if you have a 55-gallon drum, let's say, of the liquid fertilizer, and you are going to utilize it until it goes down about halfway. And then once it gets to halfway, add a little bit more ingredients, a little bit more vegetative ingredients, and fill it the rest of the way with water. And another shovel load of leaf mold. That's the best way to do it. And then let it all ferment, and then go down to about halfway, maybe 2/3 the way down, and then add more material, a little bit more leaf mold, and fill it back up with water. Like that, you keep the stock, the base stock always remains in there, and it just keeps getting better and better with time. And so that's what I would do. Whatever size container you're using, do it till it's about halfway or 2/3 the way empty, then refill it with stuff, okay? So, Pinball Preparedness says, composted horse manure is awesome. You just have to remember to add nitrogen after about a year because the bedding still needs to break down. Yes, absolutely. The bedding, and that's why when a lot of people ask questions about horse manure and stuff, is that it depends on what the bedding is. So if they got all the pine shavings, there's a lot more carbon material there. And so it can take a lot longer to break down. And some of the places, if they clean them often, then it's like mostly that bedding. And so it will actually take a long time to break down, and it can be nitrogen deficient in a way. But some places, they sift it out or something like that, and so that and then they will use straw or as a bedding, but also when they scoop it out, they sort of sift it. So they must use like sawdust. I know that that's a thing that they use sometimes, and so they just sift it out, and so that their horse manure is just pure road apples, right? You know what I'm saying? That's what I like to use, because it's really, really potent, because the horse manure already, when it comes out of the horse, is in a really good nitrogen to carbon sort of ratio. It's all already really good. Got all the good microorganisms in there. It's all inoculated. It is like one of the greatest fertilizers. But just remember that the horse does not digest its food nearly as thoroughly as the cow does. And so you will have seeds of whatever the horse has eaten. You will have those seeds in its manure, and they will come up. So you just have to have a plan for that. Either you compost the manure until it gets nice and hot, kills those weed seeds, or you use like landscaping fabric or something like that. Remember, guys, me and Jenny, and I've done this other times as well, but Jenny's is the most recent. Last year, we just laid down 50-foot rows of well-composted, very well-composted horse manure. We laid them down. They were about 4 feet wide and about 2 to 3 feet tall. I mean, we had trailer loads of this stuff. We're doing it with a bobcat. And then we just rolled the landscaping fabric out over that. We did nothing else to the soil or anything. And then we put the holes in the landscaping fabric, planted right into the horse manure mounds. And it was incredible. Just incredible. Bursting with tomatoes. More tomatoes than she could even know what to do with. Everything was just bursting. Yeah. So we did a few other things, but I'll put those in some videos. It's Ms. T, $10. Thank you very much, my friend. I appreciate your support. And appreciate your support on the other channel as well, of course. Remember, guys, I do a live Q&A on my other channel, much smaller channel, about, it's just called Nate Muri, and we can do it about all different kinds of topics: diet, health, nutrition, mental wellness, all this kind of stuff. So Nicole Wood says, do you have a video on Sister Plant or website to go to on Sister Plant? Let's see, do you mean Three Sisters? Is that what you're talking about? Because yes, I've recently, in the past few weeks, made a video about the Three Sisters. Oh, there she is, Tarot Like a Viking. That's Jenny. Yeah, where'd you get that name from? That's such a clever name. I guess, guys, we should congratulate her on her originality of her name. Tarot Like a Viking. I grew monster plants with no effort. Yes, it's very true. Because I knew that with her lifestyle, there was not going to be any weeding going on. If she had to weed it, forget about it. And she didn't. There was no weeds. So Tree Rogie says, jumping worms are becoming invasive. Yeah, I've heard of these, and I've seen them on videos. I've never actually experienced one. Do you guys have jumping worms? Are they really like that? The first time I think I seen one was watching Mark from Self-Sufficient Me a couple of years ago. He was like, oh, look, worms in the soil. And he picked them up, and it was just like jumping. It jumped out of his hand. I was like, man, the worms around here, you picked them up and they just barely move. I mean, this is compared to that. So let's see here. Prepper's Paradise says, when I use horse manure, I put it into a dark garbage bag, fill with water, tie tightly, and leave in the sun for a couple weeks. Kills all the seeds and is compost tea to mix with the leaves, grass, wood chips, biochar, and sand to make my potting and garden mixes. That sounds like it would work. I like that. That sounds like it would work for most of the stuff. Yeah. Although, if it works for you, that's fantastic. Although a number of seeds could survive sort of that. I guess not if it gets really hot. If it's left in the sun, it's going to be baking hot. That sounds like a pretty good method. I'll have to try that out. Lukash says, hey, Nate, what other veggies are you starting around this time? Is it too early for peppers? I live in New York. No, it is not too early for peppers. You want to get them pretty much started. So I started peppers, I think, about last week. And 6 weeks, give or take, if you have a good, but you want nice bright light. You pretty much want a heat mat and stuff. So if you have a heat mat, it's going to dramatically speed things up. Peppers can take several weeks before they even sprout if you don't have a heat mat. Yes. What other veggies am I starting around this time? Let's see. I've started the first planting of collard greens, of mustard greens, of Chinese cabbage. I love Chinese cabbage. Of Gloria Weinkusen cabbage. That's the springtime one. The Brunswick cabbage is the fall time one because it gets so big. And remember last year I told you it makes the best sauerkraut. The Brunswick cabbage, the best of all cabbages I've seen to make the sauerkraut. So buttery, soft, and sweet and delicious. It's just, the Gloria Weinkusen also makes a good kraut. I thought until I tasted the Brunswick one. It just, the texture is so buttery is the only way to describe it. And the sourness, I ferment in these kind of barrels, obviously with no hole in them. But this is a food grade 2.5 gallon bucket. And I make the sauerkraut in these or even the 5 gallon buckets. And I just leave it in the basement, unrefrigerated all winter long. And I go and pull it out whenever I need it. And that's it. And it just stays good. It just gets more and more soured, but it stays perfectly good and preserved. These are the techniques our ancestors used to use to preserve food. It's not just that they like the sauerkraut flavor. They had to preserve the food over the wintertime. And so that's why cabbage and potatoes, guys, it's a very, very nourishing meal. And this is one of the ideal things that we can have, with non-refrigeration and stuff like that. Because I still have potatoes in the basement, guys, and everyone asks me how the long-term storage, but you really don't have to do that much to them. As long as, here's the thing about potatoes, is that you want to mimic as close as possible the experience that potato would have underground. Because they are designed to capture the solar energy and store it in the tuber. And then the plant dies above ground, and then once the next growing season comes, it will then use that stored solar energy to make new plants and start the whole process over again and make more tubers. And that's how they grow. So what we want to do is when you grow potatoes this year, plan on leaving them in the ground as long as you possibly can. Plan on leaving them in the ground because they can stay in the ground even after, say it's like late August or something, and you still got 8 weeks or something, or 5-6 weeks before the frost. Just leave them in the ground that whole time because that will help them store longer. Okay, so dig them up a couple of weeks before the first expected frost, put them into the basement or wherever you can mimic underground conditions, which a little bit of humidity, nice and cool. Okay. So, and then they will store as long as possible. I mean, like I said, I still have, some of them have gotten soft. Some of them started to sprout, but I still have many of them that are still rock hard, okay? Let's see. Pinball says, cabbage and potatoes have a Russian wife, and you'll learn all sorts of ways to prepare them. Yes. Very, very big in the Russian culture, that kind of stuff. And so, yeah. Cabbage and potatoes can be eaten in all different kinds of ways, my friend, because it's the good survival food. They know. And that's the thing about these techniques and stuff, and the recipes, like old Russian recipes or old Scandinavian recipes and all this kind of stuff. They lived the lifestyle that we are sort of trying to mimic in a way, or that we are sort of trying to invigorate back into the modern lifestyle. And they depended on this stuff. So they are the originals about knowing what needs to be eaten when and stored and how to use it, all of that. So much value in the old ways. Let's see. Yes, everyone is saying great idea, Prepper's Paradise. Yeah, that is a really great idea with the horse manure in the bags. That's I see a future video coming. I hope that you don't mind, but I see a future video coming. I'll say I got this technique from one of the viewers. I'll mention your name if you want. But yeah, because the more that I'm digesting that concept, that sounds like it would definitely destroy the weed seeds, which is the number one issue with horse manure. So yeah. See, this is why I like having so many people. The more people involved with all of this, the better, because that's an exact perfect example of that, because we have a bigger knowledge base to draw from, the more people that there are. So that's good, because then we can all learn. So, Bina5 says, love your channel. Thank you very much, my friend. I'm happy you are here. Jeremy Ransom, question, how long do you think I should wait until I plant into a 12 by 12 foot new in-ground plot that I covered with chicken coop clean out material? Okay, so a 12 by 12 plot that you covered with chicken coop clean out material. If you just covered it over the top, how thick, you know? And so I would, you don't have to wait all that long. It doesn't really have to digest that long. I mean, if it's already been in the coop for a while, like, because some people will let it go all over the wintertime and then you'll clean it out all at once, or they'll let it go several months. It's already started the decomposition process, okay? And it's really dramatically emphasized that you gotta let chicken manure compost, otherwise it's gonna be so toxic. But that's not really true. I mean, we had chickens in California and you didn't see a bunch of dead, burnt spots all over the lawn, you know? Like wherever they would put the droppings and stuff. So, and then I started using this stuff fresh and I realized that it doesn't really work that way so much. It's kind of fine for most plants. So my suggestion is you'll probably be fine. If it's just been a couple of weeks, a couple of rains, you'll be fine. You know, I would apply some of the JMS though, or a good compost tea, something like that, whatever you're making, you know. Shooting the Soil says, yo, everyone. What's up, my friend? Shooting the Soil's got a great channel where he examines a lot of this stuff under the microscope. So if you're into that kind of thing and you want to see like actual, you know, it comes up on the screen and stuff. If you want to see that kind of stuff, he's doing it. Yep. So Gregory Sheldon, half-gallon plastic bottle like a well-used gin bottle. Drill a 2-inch hole inside. Use as a shaker. For sand and carrots work great. Oh yeah, okay, that could work good. Yeah, I don't plant my carrots with the sand method. You know, do you guys? I mean, have you found a big advantage over that using the sand method? Pinball says, yep, we all learn from each other. Yeah, he knows. So Val says, at Pinball, thanks. I'll check it out for sure. And let's see, Ingrid, hello, my friend. Haven't seen you in a while here. Said, I've lived without a refrigerator for 3 years. We have a small ice chest, that's all. It's surprising what you don't buy without a refrigerator. You're absolutely right, man. When I was living in Northern California, we were way off grid. I mean, no grid. And so, yeah, I just had a couple of those. At the time, they were really expensive, those Pelican coolers. And you could keep ice in there and stuff. But yeah, it's amazing the things that you don't have without the refrigerator. And how it just totally changes the game, having the refrigerator. And so, yes, let's see. And Cyber Cert says, I used your method to start sweet potatoes, except using a square bin. I'm seeing huge difference in speed of the slip sprouting. Yep. One is a foot tall. Some just poked out this morning. Others haven't yet. Is that normal? Yes, my friend. So that's exactly what we were talking about in the beginning of this chat, is that the soil method is beyond belief faster. Yeah. Like I said, I have one started on the same day, and the ones in the jar are about 1.5 inches long. The ones in the soil are at least a foot long already. And so, yeah, and way more luscious looking. So, yeah. Guys, here's a pro tip, okay? Because some of my seeds came in, because we're going to be heading down to the Chattanooga ranch here in, it will be the 12th through maybe the 15th, 16th, something like that, 17th, however long it takes. We're going to install the food producing plot for the family of 6. And so I got some seeds for them. And one of the things we're going to be using is the tried and true Good Mothered Stallard bean. These are my favorite beans of all time. One, because they grow super big and vigorously, and they're loaded with beans. But two, because they are the most delicious bean. I mean, they are insanely delicious. So delicious and flavorful themselves, unlike anything that you get from the store, that all you have to do is soak them, sprout them. I sprout all my beans for about 2 days before I cook them. And then as soon as you see the tail, then you boil them with some, just a little bit of salt, pepper, garlic if you want it, and some butter or some olive oil, depending on what you have. And that's all that you need. It is so delicious. The flavor of these things is incredible. Anybody that you give these, like if you make a dish with the Good Mother Stallard bean and you prepare it for somebody, they will be asking you, what is this? Whoa, where did you get this? Or how did you make this? The flavor's in the beans. So yeah, and they're super beautiful. I mean, they could be like beads as well. They're super gorgeous. So yeah, I'm gonna get them set up with those. And then I'm going to get them set up. Vita says, please answer my question, Nate. You do that often. You ask a question and then don't ask it again, and then I miss it. I can't go clear back up and find it. You have to ask it again. I'm sorry. It's just the way it is. Corn, and then the corn. So he wants to do dry corn, okay? And so we're going to do the glass gem corn because it grows like 9 feet tall, and a lot of times it will give you 2 ears per stalk. If it's grown right, it'll give you, if there's plenty of nutrients, 2 ears per stalk. And this, I let it dry, and then I shuck it, and I keep it stored whole. And then as I need it, I will put it in the Vitamixer, or if you have like a grain mill, that'll also work better probably. I use the Vitamixer because it's what I have. And I make the cornmeal, and then I will use that for Johnny cakes or for grits with some maple syrup and some butter and some sea salt. Oh my goodness. So yeah, glass gem corn, super nourishing, very, very hearty. And with corn, it's best if you just grow one variety, because in order to save the seeds from corn, you have to have it secluded. Otherwise, if you grow a couple of different kinds of corn, you're not saving the seeds from them. If you do, the next year you're going to get some bizarre thing, because they are wind pollinated, and so they will easily cross. And ask me how I know this. So you want to only grow like one kind. And so if you want a good drying corn, grow the glass gem corn. That's all you need. So yeah, just wanted to tell you guys that. Let's see here. So Rachel says, I haven't been able to find Mother Stallard beans in the UK. Oh, I think this company ships worldwide. Maybe. Baker Creek Seeds? I don't know. Let's see. Buddha says, yes, that's Baker's. That's right. Baker Creek Seeds. Let's see. Jeremy Ransom says, Nate gives us 90 minutes of his time. Let's take a second and hit that like button for him. Yes, my friend. Thank you very much. I appreciate the support. And Patricia, that is a Monsanto story. Monsanto story? What do you mean? We're not about Monsanto here, my friend. So Maggie Smith says corn pollen can travel up to 500 miles. Well, maybe. Yeah. Maybe if you put it in a boat or a car. No, I mean, I don't know. Maybe it could. Yeah, if it catches a good draft or something like that, I mean, it could travel however far because it goes on the wind. So, okay. Nita, here's your question. It says, my lab Soln in freeze has a film on top and layer down. Is it still good to use? Okay, my lab. So I think what you're saying is that your lab preparation has a film on top and the layer down. Is it still good to use? The layer underneath. So if you're talking about the labs and you've made the cheese, and so yes, if you've got they separate very clearly, as you can see in the video, and the liquid underneath is going to be the labs, the lactic acid bacteria serum. You want to remove that. Now you can eat the cheese and definitely should. But if there's something wrong with that, if there's like a thin layer of what looks like mold or fuzz on top of that, then no, you don't eat the cheese. But you can always still use the lactic acid bacteria underneath, okay? But it is not... But the only thing is that the cheese, though, because we're talking raw milk products or we're talking a product, milk, and we don't want to let it sit too long. So if there's anything off with the cheese, like the smell and stuff, if it smells rancid or you see any kind of molds, you want to go ahead and discard, okay? And you can eat it later, but always you can use the labs, yes. I saw somebody say, can you show us the other seeds? I took most of them out of here. No Monsanto, or should I say Bayer now? Right, yes, exactly. Yeah, guys, it's so deep. Oh man, it's so deep. The chemical companies and stuff, and the same companies that are manufacturing things like glyphosate and 2,4-D and all of this stuff are the same companies that were manufacturing the toxic chemicals for the gas chambers for the Nazis and things like this. I mean, it runs super deep. And so they just said, man, well, we got all these chemicals now and stuff and all this. Well, what are we going to do with them now? Because we can't, we can't have a negative profit going on. So we have to come up with new ways to use all of our toxic chemicals. So most of these actually, guys, are multiples. You know, he wants to grow a bunch. So I got him a lot of packages of them. You know, that's the only time that I'll need to get them, though, is this one time. And I took the other ones out of here, but I'll show you if I can find it. Two more really good ones are going to be, guys, if you like, if you like bush beans, like I do, like bush green beans, the dragon tongue is probably going to be the one that you want. 1, because it's super beautiful. 2, because it's delicious. 3, because you can eat it as a snap green bean, but also when you're done and you're like, okay, gorged on green beans and stuff, because the more you pick, the more it produces for an amount of time. But once you're done with the green beans and you've had all your fill, you just let them go all the way until they dry, until the plant dies and they dry on the vine like a rattle. And then you can shell them or put them through the bean sheller like I've got, and you can store them, and then they will be good all winter. You can use them as a dried bean. They're more like a pinto bean than a kidney bean. They're more like a pinto bean. They get soft after a while, you know. So yes, dragon tongue are wonderful. Another one that I wanted to try because of such good reviews, I've never tried it though, is the Kolb's Gem, the watermelon. Here, I'll read it. It says, a mammoth watermelon equally suited to summertime picnics and competitions. This variety has been known to produce melons as large as 130 pounds. The nearly round fruit with bright red flesh dates back to 1880s Alabama. So the results or the reviews were stellar on this. So that is something that we definitely want to try. Let's see here. Emerald Knot says, you got a tip up there. Did I? Oh, yeah. Let me see. Yeah, guys, I always try to make it a point because it's so kind of you to leave the tips. I appreciate that, you know. An exchange of my time for a symbolic representation of your time. DNT, $5. Thank you very much, my friend. It says, yo, Nate, what's your general opinion on using composting worms and best ways to use the castings? Okay, so that can be viewed a number of different ways. So one way that you could view it is that the best way, in my opinion, best meaning easiest and most effective in most circumstances, is to create a worm farm in your garden bed. That's what you want to do. You want to have so much organic material that the worms are attracted to the garden. Worms love leaves. So a nice thick layer of leaves as the mulch. Also, you can bury kitchen scraps here and there. Also, you can, the manures and stuff like that, they love all that kind of stuff. So that really is a fantastic way. It's the lowest effort way because all the worms are right there. And all the castings are right there, right where you need them. And they're making all the channels of aeration through the soil because we're not tilling anymore, remember. And so all of those air holes that they make in there are going to remain for the most part. And so all the good stuff is right where you need it. But for a lot of people, they either can't do that so much or they just need the worm castings. So yes, using composting worms is a very good way. Primarily, if you're brewing like compost teas, like the aerated compost teas, you can use the worm castings. Man, there's nothing finer than worm castings you make yourself from your own kitchen scraps and all of that stuff, and you harvest those. That's teeming with microorganisms. The biology inside of worm castings, good quality fresh worm castings, is just off the chart. And so you can inoculate your brews with that and culture them, as we'll be doing more of that on this channel this year. So yes, and if you want the liquid as well, so if you're gonna set them up, you want to make it so that you can not only remove the castings when need be, but to let the liquid drain off. You want to be able to harvest the liquid because, again, it's teeming with microorganisms and plant available nutrients. So I mean, really, if you have fresh worm castings, your plants can pretty much survive, like your seedlings can pretty much survive and thrive on just a tea or even an extract made of the worm castings, okay? Remember, an extract, we just pass the liquid through it, like compost or manure or worm castings. Really, compost and worm castings is the most ideal. And that I showed a video on how to make that in one of my shorts recently, the seedling tea. That's an extract, whereas opposed to a tea, an actual tea is where we culture it. We actually want to expand the number of microorganisms. So we add a food source. We typically add aeration through the stone and different forms of microbiology. Clem Fandango says, yes, I treat my entire garden like a giant worm farm. Learned that from Mark at Self-Sufficient Me. Oh yeah, does he advocate that? Man, he's got such a great setup. I mean, he really has got the good setup, but he also lives in the tropics, subtropics, basically. I mean, so you can grow year round. You can't stop stuff from growing there. I used to live in Thailand and stuff, and so I know that climate really has a big factor. But still, all Mark's stuff is awesome. And I really like those beds. I mean, his beds are like 4 feet tall. And so he's not like bending over all the time and stuff like that. That's really cool if you have that much stuff. Yeah, I learned a lot from Mark over the years. So Colin Sullivan says, your last video was a huge help for my seedlings. Peppers are really taking. I had to use the weed fertilizer because it's all I have out here in Arizona. Okay. Yeah, not a problem. Yeah, so many people from Arizona are hitting me up about what can we do. We don't have compost. We don't have leaf mold. We don't have, organic matters and stuff like that. It's a different ballgame, but still the soil food web functions the same. And plants will function the same. It just, logistically, you have to do some things different than we would here. Buddha says, just got home from work and my beans popped up. Zone 9A, by the way. So y'all don't think I'm crazy for starting this early. I was just about to say, what are you doing starting beans? Zone 9A? Okay, yeah. You can pretty much just throw them outside and they will start. Yeah. Nathaniel Anderson says, you're zone 9A? No way, me too. Where is zone 9? Where are you guys at? Let me know. Let's see here. Hello, Uncle Charlie. I see you too. Stone Creek says, I did the 5-gallon bucket spring weed fertilizer. The garden soil made it foam and bubble. I didn't get to use leaf mold. Is it okay? Yes, it is okay. Not a problem. Ideally, we want to use the leaf mold. Okay, but if you've got a good quality finished compost, that's got great nutrients in it, plant available nutrients, that's got microorganisms that we want and need. But still, here and there, you also want to use the, okay, I see you, Nita. So you also want to use the leaf mold from time to time because it's got a whole different set of microbiology, a lot more fungal dominant in the leaf mold. And so you still want to make your brews with leaf mold, okay? Even if you can't get it that readily, you still want to make some with it, okay? If you really can't get it, okay, then so like for you guys in Arizona and stuff, if you really can't get leaf mold, then you're gonna want to make the IMO 1 through 4, basically. A lot more complicated, way more involved, and a lot more complicated, but it's you will then be able to have the indigenous microorganisms that you can then use. So that would be my suggestion. Which we will, I don't know if we'll get to doing all that 1 through 4 this year, just because we got so much other stuff going on, but we definitely could. We'll see. And Nita Vadnira says, I'm asking about the lab serum after the complete process, stored in the freezer, has film over it and a layer that has settled down. Okay, so I don't really know, because if you store it in the freezer, I don't know how they're going to react to being frozen. I don't know. So I really can't say. If it's in the refrigerator, you mean, and it's still liquid, has a film over it and a layer that has settled down, how long has it been there? How long has it been there? That's important. Remember, we want to make fewer batches fresher. Smaller batches, but more often. That's what we want to do with the labs, okay? Let's see. Uncle Charlie says, have you used cotton gin trash compost? Got 4 loads free. Wow, very nice. I have not, because that is not a plentiful resource where we are at. We don't grow cotton around here. But if you do, then it would be a plentiful resource. Although, if it is, I don't know about its pesticide status or anything like that, what was used on it. But typically, I'm sure that'll be really good organic matter. I know a lot of people do use it, so yeah. Atheniel says, Abbotsford, BC, next to Vancouver. Okay, oh wow, man. Yeah, so that would be the northwest. Yes, I love that climate. Love it. Yes, I used to live in a redwood grove in Northern California, and the climate there is just ideal. Let's see. Ghost Dog says, is IMO collection without making a cedar box? I am watching everything I can to learn cheap and free and recycled stuff to make any inputs. I think it's a good idea, but want more info on it. Yeah, you don't have to use a cedar box. You definitely don't have to. You'll have better success with it, but you can also use like a plastic thing of some kind. If you find the right type of plastic container, you can use that. It does not have to be cedar, okay? And I know this. So yeah, some might say that it needs to be, but ideally it should be, because there won't be molds growing on the cedar box as much, but molds aren't going to be growing on plastic as well. Jeremy said, had my bush beans pop up like 2 to 3 weeks ago. Man, where are you at that you've got bush beans popping up 3 weeks ago in March? Let's see. Ms. P says, so you are doing a live video tomorrow on your Nate Murray channel? That will be Monday. So today is Saturday, so that will be 48 hours, or about 47 hours from now. Yes, on the Nate Murray channel. So you guys can check that out. We can talk about a number of different things on that channel. Here, I like to keep it focused, because it's important. The way that the algorithm works and stuff, it finds people that are interested in the one topic. And so we like to keep it, for the most part, to the gardening and growing. Although there's many facets to that, okay? Let's see. Clem Fandango says, not as ideal as leaf mold, but there's a local company near me in Maryland that makes a leaf mold bagged compost you could probably buy online. They sell it at Home Depots and stuff here. Okay, yeah, I'm not sure of that. Never heard of it, but possibly. It's but the whole point of the leaf mold is the local microorganisms. This is important. If I was to have the guy in Canada, Zone 8 in Vancouver, send me some of his microorganisms, they are not going to be adapted to this Northern Indiana, to the winters and the freeze and thaw side, to just all the different stuff. And so this is important that we use stuff that is local. That's why we want to do it. Okay, Nita says 1 month and in the refrigerator, not freezer. Okay, that's what I thought you meant. So I think that maybe you didn't filter it properly or whatever it is, but don't worry about it. Just shake it up and you can use it. So unless it's like a black mold or something, go ahead and use it. But really, you can use, as long as you're not consuming it internally, it doesn't matter. You can use it on your plants at any time. But okay, 1 month in the refrigerator, it's still good. Shake it up and don't worry about the settling. Sometimes you'll see the white stuff at the bottom, and that's perfectly normal. You don't have to worry about that. Okay. Guys, make sure that you check out the Garden Like a Viking Instagram account if you're into that kind of thing, because I'm making shorts and videos and stuff like that about things I don't want to make whole YouTube videos about. So check that out, okay, if you're on Instagram. Let's see here. Prepper's Paradise says, I'm in zone 4A, but my octagon greenhouse will be zone 10, LOL. Getting fruit trees from Kelowna. Okay, nice. How are you going to be heating that? Is it going to be like a Wallapini style or what? The greenhouse in zone 4. Buddha says, cottonseed meal, great for watermelon. Oh, I bet. Yeah, then they would come from the same sort of area. East County, San Diego. Okay, zone 10. Yeah, that's why you've got bean seeds coming up. And okay, Lucas says, IMO is super fun process, I think. You can use woven baskets, you just need holes in the container. Wood is better than plastic. Nate, you should show them the process. I bet a lot of people would watch. They probably would, yes. And yes, I should. I think we will do that. I don't know if this year, we'll just have to see, because I try and plan them a few weeks in advance and stuff. But also, I don't want to turn too many people off. K&F is much more complex and involved than JDOM. So that's why I've started with JDOM, because JDOM is the simplest possible form of natural farming, in my opinion and experience. But now we're going to progressively move to some different things, like an aerated compost tea. We'll be doing some of those on the channel this year. Okay, because like I said at the beginning, you want to do as many different things, good, natural things as possible, because the plants are just like us. They want as wide variety of nutrient sources as they can get. And then also, yes, we are going to do some K&F stuff. The IMO is a big one, and really it is the foundation. If you're only making one, the foundation of K&F is the IMO. And then it will be like the FPJ and the labs. Labs is actually K&F, of course. And the FAA, we are making that this year. In fact, me and Rusty Reed, the Turtle Man, who's got a YouTube channel as well, we are going to go into the creek and spear some of these invasive carp. And I remember doing that with him when I was a kid. And so I hit him up a while ago. He's the guy I went to South Arkansas with and did the turtles and all that. But I hit him up and was like, hey, do you still have the supplies? We can go spear some of them invasive carp. And he was like, yeah, let's do it. So, okay. So, these carp are huge, and we can just stand in the canoe and boom, we can spear them like that. So I will take you guys with me. I'll try to make some kind of video about it. And then we're going to use that to make the FAA, the fish amino acids, the proper. And so let's see. Cultivate Life says, hi, Nate. How concerned should I be about possible antibiotics in animal manures? That depends on a lot of factors. If it's coming from like a commercial industrial source, you could be quite concerned about it, because that's a big problem, and it kills the microbial life in the soil. And so that is if it's coming from a major industrial source. But if it's coming from like your friend who boards a couple of horses and they maybe get some antibiotics here and there, it's not really going to be a problem. But if you are, basically the poultry and stuff like that, if it's commercial industrial grade, that stuff has to be pumped full of antibiotics and all different kinds of stuff, growth regulators and all sorts of stuff. And so, yes, that you need to be very careful about putting it onto the soil. But if it's from anywhere else, then yeah, you should be good. Nita says, thanks, Nate. I did consume it, 1 teaspoon in a glass of water. Okay, no problem. And it's still good. As long as there's not a bunch of mold on it, you'll be fine. Stuff's super good for you. And so somebody type, what is the channel called? My other channel is Nate, N-A-T-E, Muri, M-U-R-I. I also have another channel called Travel Like a Viking, where I illustrate and act out sort of lessons that I've learned over 10 years of traveling the world. And so you can check that out, Travel Like a Viking. And yeah, I will be making more videos on there at some point, but there's like 25 videos on there. Those are some of the first videos I ever made. When I was getting into video making like 4 years ago, those were the first videos I ever made. So they were a totally different style. I was really inspired by like a Casey Neistat, so yeah. But then I kind of got over all that stuff, and I just like to make these kind of videos now. But Dale Steiner says, thanks for the awesome teaching. I've made all the fertilizers, going fishing today and making more fish hydrolysate. Sunny and warm in upstate New York. Southern Tier today. Dr. Dale, all right, man. Glad to hear that. The fish hydrolysate is so good. And that will be awesome. Nate, any tips for rodent proofing your compost pile? Compost pile or bin? Because if it's a pile, then no, pretty much not. Unless you're going to put hardware cloth, pretty much not. But I will be making a video soon as the composter gets here, on how to rodent proof. Yes, because I had to really come up with some different clever ways of doing things, because here the big thing is rats. So the rats will burrow in underneath the compost bin and stuff, and really you're just feeding the rats. And so that doesn't make it very fun to compost. But yes, I have devised the good way that we can rodent proof it. So yes, I will be making a video about that. Remove hiding obstacles near the composter. Yes, but still, they will just live in it. Let's see. Queen says, Stone Creek 1, make sure the cows are not eating Grazon treated with plants, or treated plants. Yeah, very, very true. Grazon can be very consistent. Successful Garden Design, Rachel says, they are great videos. Looking forward to more Viking travels. Thank you, my friend. She's talking about the travel like a Viking. And yes, I just talked to my Buddhist monk friend yesterday, and he invited me back to Sri Lanka. Next, it will be this upcoming January. So we'll see. I think that might actually happen. Maybe me and Jenny will go to Sri Lanka, and that will be all kinds of crazy stuff. So I will take you guys along on that channel. Whenever I do travels and stuff, they'll be mostly on that channel, Travel Like a Viking. So yeah, like including going down to Tennessee and stuff. We'll be doing shorts and all that kind of stuff as we're doing it. That will all be on that channel, because I don't want to dilute this channel too much. You know, I want to keep everything right to the point. And then let's see, I got a tip up here. Scott Murray, that's a clever last name. $10, thank you, my friend. Thanks for watching. Yeah, he's a true believer every week. So thank you. Question, how bad is city water for my garden? It depends where you live. I mean, if you're in Flint, Michigan, maybe it's worse than here, but city water is okay. I mean, it's okay if that's what you have. Rainwater is ideal, but city water, most tap waters have things in it designed literally to kill microorganisms. And so that is not what we want. When we are natural farming, we are culturing microorganisms. The microorganisms are what do the heavy lifting. So we need to make sure that we don't do anything that destroys them. Okay. So let's see here. And Jason Hetty, Nate, what do we do with the ginger we've started? Do they need to be reported? Do they need to be reported? Mine are, let's see, whoops. I was just reading it. I guess he took that question. It was retracted as I was reading it. Okay, Busy Girl says, rats and mice hate peppermint. They love chicken manure. Yeah, man, the rats around here, it doesn't matter what you do. I mean, it doesn't matter. It's crazy. Before I got the cat, I was standing out there with a blowgun. I have a blow dart gun, and I was standing out there, and I would go out by the compost pile and throw a stick, and you could see him run. And, I would be using a 22, but I'm in the city limits. So let's see. As well, an air conditioner with ducting both sides so I can use cool. I'm not sure what you're talking about there. Successful Garden Design says, great. Double Viking Adventures. Love Jenny. She's awesome. Yes. She is definitely awesome. We just did a sound bath last night where I was filming it for her, but there was like 20, 30 people all packed into this room. And she was doing the singing bowls and the gongs and stuff like that. She was actually singing as well. It was very heavenly. People were really tripping out. It was nice. Okay. Let's see. I am lucky. We have wildcats that guard my composter. Only skunks pass by. Yeah, that would be great if we had that. You Funny says, what do you do for a living? Well, believe it or not, I am full-time YouTuber now. That's really weird to say, but yeah. I do garden installations and I do garden consultations. And so if you guys need any of that kind of stuff, we can do that either in person or over the Zoom platform. You can email me at gardenlikeaviking@gmail.com. With any kind of business inquiries or anything like that. But yeah, I was a professional traveler, and then I worked in Northern California, and then now I'm a professional YouTuber. So I was a professional scuba diving instructor as well. So many different things. So many. I even for a short time tried to start up a little motorcycle touring company in India, but we had our first tour with just a couple of bikes, and it was an absolute shoot show. You know what I'm saying? It was a total oh man, India. Yeah, it's crazy. So that deteriorated really quickly. But, and rats are my indoor cactus. The type with thorns all over it. Blows my mind. Rats ate your indoor cactus. The type with thorns all over it. Yeah, that is how persistent the rats are. Okay. James Standley says, trying to get 15,000 square feet ready for veggies, mostly. Unfortunately, it's dead row crop type farmland, but I'll begin the healing process as soon as the weather and my job cooperate. Yes. So the primary thing that you will want to do is get the microbiology in the soil happening again. And they will take care of so many things. So to do that, you need to first create the habitat for the microorganisms. The microbiology needs a place to live in the soil and on top of the soil. And so you do that with heavy mulches. You can do that with cover crops, definitely cover crops. You can do that with organic matter, manures, and all of that kind of stuff. And then so the soil's probably really compacted, got a super crazy layer of compaction because it's been industrial farmed. So you probably will have to do a one-time initial till where you can really till it deep and get in all kinds of organic matter, biochar if you have it, so many different things, the leaf mold, and then immediately plant a cover crop, a deep-rooted fibrous root system cover crop on top of that. And that's going to make sure that the life starts happening. And then we're going to add the microbial brews to that. And like this, in just a couple of seasons, you will have thriving soil once again. But obviously, there's way more steps to it, but I'm just saying. Let's see. Tree Rogi asked over mine about a week after Nate posted his video of the, I missed your question. Did you re-say it about the, okay. Prepper says, Garden Like a Viking, I'll email to give a rundown of what's here so I don't take up chat time. Okay. Yeah, do that, please. But guys, if there's any questions or anything like that, put them in the comment section of the video because it really helps to the videos and bolster up the channel and stuff like that. And that's what we want to do. Also, try and share any of these videos to like Facebook groups or whatever it is wherever it is you share stuff, okay? Let's see. Alexander says, how much chlorine can destroy microorganisms in the soil? Should we use activated carbon as a filter? Chlorine definitely can destroy microorganisms. That's what it's designed to do. But in typical concentrations from tap water, you won't really have to worry about it. I mean, if you're making a microbial brew where you're trying to like make a compost tea or the JDOM microbial solution, that we want to use either rainwater or distilled water or water that has been evaporated. The chlorine's been evaporated. And yes, that is important to use chlorine-free water for that. But for watering the garden, we're going to be okay. We're going to be okay with that. Okay. And so, yeah, did I miss the question about the garlic, though, or the ginger? I wanted to see because, okay, typo. My ginger is 6 to 8 inches tall already. Time to repot. Okay. You can. How much longer do you have until you can go outside? That's kind of, I'm shocked because last year when I did it, it took a lot longer to sprout. But this year, it's already a foot tall. The ginger's already a foot tall. And so just this morning, I was thinking the same thing. I was thinking, whoa. It didn't grow this fast and vigorous last year. So what am I going to do? Now, I don't think I'm going to repot it though, even though it's still almost 6 weeks away, 5 to 6 weeks before we can really plant outside. I might have to repot it. We'll see. We'll see. In fact, I am going to repot some of it into square 4-inch pots, and I'm going to leave some of it in the tray. And because I got a number of different trays. So I'll repot one tray and I'll leave the rest whole in the tray, and we will see. That way we'll know for sure if we need to repot it or if we can just let it keep growing. But at this rate, it's going to be like 2 feet tall by the time. Yeah, so we'll see. Rhonda Williams. So you have had a blessed life. Oh man, I've had a life blessed beyond comprehension. I mean, life has given me just everything that I could have ever wanted, truly. And I mean that. And it just continues to. But even now, if I never got anything more out of life, I've already way more than got my fill. So just very deeply grateful for that. So Maggie Smith, I bought a filter from my doctor's house on Arizona patio. Hot climate, have more chlorine in the water. Oh, do they really? I guess that would make sense, maybe, to keep stuff down. Busy Girl says, that sucks, Nate. Sounds like it would have been a fun job. Let's see, what was the job you were talking about? Oh, yeah, the motorcycle touring. Oh, it was great. But then I just decided, you know what? I'm just going to tour with me and my girlfriend on the back. So we did a number of different tours. I'm Williams followed Nate's video on how to start it. Okay. Most cats, Ghost Dog says, most cats can't beat a large rat, but the rats don't know that. You can get a pet mink and let it go into the compost. He will kill every rat in there. Man, that would be so cool. Once I get the land and stuff and the ranch and I have the school and all that, then yes, I'll get some minks, and we'll do that. Definitely have them burrow out the rats. But yeah, the cat kind of knows that. The cat is not aggressive to the rats because a full-grown rat would destroy a cat. I mean, this cat definitely. She's a little tiny petite cat. But yeah, the rats don't know that. The broad fork works a miracle on compacted ground. Yes, absolutely. The broad fork is really good. But he's talking about 15,000 square feet. That is more than I'm talking about broad forking. So yeah, if you have some kind of a deep tiller that can break up the hardpan, that can be ideal. Get in that biochar, get in that manure, the organic matter, but then immediately, in order to keep all those air pockets, you got to plant the cover crop. Winter rye mixed with crimson clover, or some a ryegrass or a wheatgrass with a clover of some variety. Okay. Jeremy says, thanks for another great Saturday, Nate. Always like being here with all of our gardening friends. Yeah, definitely, man. All kinds of good stuff. Oh, it's 96 minutes already. Okay, guys, so we're coming to an end. If you got any burning questions, let's see here. Tree Rogi says, you got so much from life. That's nice. And you got $10 from your brother, too. All right, that's right, my friends. Thank you very much, everybody, for the contributions. Both financially and energetically, just for being here. You're contributing. Okay. Oh, I thought he said 1,000. Yeah, no, he said 15,000 square feet. That's a lot. Nate, do you have a link to a good broad fork to buy? You know, I wish I did, but the broad fork I actually got last year or 2 years ago, I'm not really happy with it. It was supposed to be like a real great design, and it was really expensive. And I did all the research and stuff, but then I get it, and it's like some of it is well engineered, but there's one point in particular that looks like a clown engineered it. I mean, seriously, and it makes the whole thing weak. It's absurd. So I'm not going to promote it in any way. So no, I don't have a link to a good one. Yep. I wish I did. Taida Henna, $5. Thank you very much, my friend. Guys, check out her Instagram. She does beautiful henna work. Okay, Ghost Dog, I need to write out my questions. I choke on the spot and get distracted easily. Yeah. Get broad fork from Johnny's, says Garth. Yeah, that could be. Ms. P says, I love my Treadlite broad fork. That's actually the kind I got, the Treadlite. And I got the Treadlite, the plow, the one that's supposed to be hardcore for breaking fresh ground and stuff. And that being said, it didn't actually break. It hasn't broke. But it's just right where the handle connects to the thing is the most absurd engineered connection point. The weakest point of the entire thing by far is right there where all the leverage is. And so the whole thing has been bent just by trying to use it. So yeah, it's not the plow. Okay. I've seen much better designs. So, Ms. T, love our meeting of the minds, fellow food growers. That's right, my friends. So, Joe Hopkins, I love your enthusiasm and your sharing of knowledge and experience. You're very welcome, my friend. It just flows right through me. So that's awesome that you guys can absorb some of that. Okay, my friends. So we will be having a video this week about how to activate biochar. Yes, that video is finally coming. And so I will show you guys how to activate the biochar, and then we're going to put that into the soil before planting, because we are not that far away from planting. Here in about another week, I'm going to be planting the onions. So they're growing nice and good. So in about a week, we're going to be planting onions, which seems early, but definitely is not too. Onions they're really hardcore, is so long as you condition them right. So we'll be planting those in about a week, and then about 2 weeks from now, 3 weeks maybe, we'll be planting some of the leafy greens, the collards, the cabbages, maybe the Swiss chard, although Swiss chard isn't as hardy as collard greens and cabbages, but we'll see. So yeah, all that stuff's coming, guys. So check out the Garden Like a Viking Instagram account, and I will see you guys later, my friends.